I just seen a TikTok where a lady was like, do any of y'all care about Nebraska? The first thought came to my mind was no. We just gonna sit here and save up our little money, and when y'all go completely under, we gonna go buy up all y'all shit. That's all. We just gonna buy y'all out. We'll give y'all a couple of pennies for it. Don't worry about it.
I have a question for the rest of America. Does anyone even care about Nebraska? Does anyone even care?
I cared about Nebraska back on November 5th, just like I cared about all states. So I went into the voting booth and I voted in the best interest of all Americans. But clearly, Nebraska didn't care about all Americans, nor did Nebraska care about Nebraska. If Nebraska cared about Nebraska, then 60% of voters who voted in Nebraska wouldn't have voted for Donald Trump. They would have voted for Kamala Harris. If the voters in District 1 out in Nebraska and the voters in District 3 out in Nebraska would have cared about Nebraska, then they would have voted for Kamala Harris and not for Donald Trump. I can't care about Nebraska now when Nebraska didn't even care about Nebraska then. For those of you all who don't know, Nebraska is slated to go bankrupt in the next couple of months. In addition to that, all of the farmers out in Nebraska who voted for Donald Trump, they've lost all of their workers because their workers were migrants, probably illegal immigrants who were working their farms. And so all of those workers have left the state. So it is my opinion, instead of asking other Americans if they care about Nebraska, you should be asking Nebraska why they didn't care about Nebraska.
To learn a new song. This is from my people of Nebraska. Repeat after me. Oh, my Donald had a farm. Elon Musk. Oh, my Donald had a farm. Elon Musk. We thought we were smart, but we are very foolish. Now we are suffering from the consequences. Oh, my Donald had a farm. Elon Musk. We have nobody to work on our farms. We are losing everything we've won. Oh, McDonald had a farm. Elon Musk.
Welcome back to Sparkle's show, where we keep the vibes high and the commentary sharp. First, a huge shout out to all our returning subscribers. Y'all have been showing massive love, and we see you. And to our new subscribers, welcome to the family. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and let's get into it. We also want to give full credit to the original creators and stitches of this video. We appreciate y'all for bringing this discussion to the table. Now let's talk about Nebraska. Oh yes, Nebraska! The state where folks proudly voted for policies that they thought would save their economy. And now? Well, now they're crying out for help, but here's the twist. They're specifically calling on Black America. Whew! FAFO season is serving up karma with a side of irony, y'all. Let's dive into the rest of the video and we will be back for more commentary.
Hey guys, I hope you all had a great weekend. I wanted to drop by today to talk about the Nebraska farmers situation again. And I know a lot of us, with all of the videos we had been seeing around, or at least I had been seeing around, a lot of people were saying, you know, Nebraska didn't care about Nebraska, and why are we supposed to care about Nebraska, and Nebraska didn't care about Nebraska? How could Nebraska vote against their best interests by voting for mass deportation of their workforce? And I was saying, why would you purposely go to get rid of your workforce and not have a backup plan for the people that you're getting rid of, especially if your business is relying on that workforce. Your hatred can't be that blinding and that overwhelming that you can't think about your bottom line, especially when it comes to your businesses. Some of these farms have been in those people's families for over 300 years. You can't tell me you did not think about who is going to come in and replace these vital workers for your survival. One thing I do keep thinking back on is Trump kept saying during this campaign that the illegals were here stealing the blacks' jobs. He just kept harping on the black jobs, and everybody was like, what the hell is a black job? Well, this is just my perspective, or it's just my thought. I'm thinking that the Virginians and all the rest of the people who were depending on illegal immigrants for their labor, they kept hearing Trump saying that the black people jobs were being taken. I'm thinking in their minds, they were hearing Trump saying the black people are going to come back to those jobs. In my mind, I'm thinking they were hearing Trump says the black people are going to replace all those immigrants out in the fields and on the farms and all of that. I'm thinking that's what they were hearing. That's why they weren't messed up about voting to get rid of their illegal immigrants. They were thinking that the black people were going to step up and take those jobs back, because Trump kept saying these illegal immigrants are stealing the blacks' jobs. And therefore, in their mind, they heard we were getting our 1,800 slaves back. They had to have thought that their backup plan, Trump was going to miraculously, somehow, magically put all the black people back out in those fields, on those farms, and they were going to continue to get their work done. Now, that's just my thinking, because you cannot tell me that you as a business owner would get rid of your workforce and not have a backup plan. You are not going to knowingly and willingly walk into a bankruptcy, walk into losing your business, walk into losing your farms that have been in your family for 300 years unless you thought there was a backup plan. And the backup plan was supposed to be the blacks. That's why y'all ran out there and voted against your best interest, because when you heard Donald Trump said they were stealing the blacks' jobs, y'all in your twisted mind thought that the blacks were going to magically appear back in those positions. The blacks were just going to be coming from everywhere to take on those positions. You had to have thought that, because y'all not going to tell me that in your minds you were okay with losing your livelihoods, that you didn't have a backup plan to come in after the immigrants would be deported. You can't convince me that people who own those farms and worked on those farms, you cannot tell me that you looked out there and saw your workforce, and you know what your workforce is made up of, and you purposely went out there and said, yeah, get rid of all of them, with no backup plan. You know what it takes to run your farms. You know how many people it takes to run your farms. There is no way you got rid of all of those people and did not expect to have somebody to come in and pick up the slack. Y'all thought y'all were getting slaves back. You had to have thought that. You had to have thought black people were going to be the ones replacing the immigrants, and you would not miss a beat. But when those immigrants fled and those fields became empty and those farms became deserted, then y'all want to run around crying, Doesn't it? Does anybody care about Nebraska? Does anybody care about Nebraska? No, no, no. Let's go back. What was your thought process as to when the immigrants go, when they deport them? What was your thought process on who was going to come in and pick up that slack? Because 60% of y'all went out there and voted for Trump. So what was that 60% thinking? What was your plan B for when the immigrants are gone? Who was going to come in, step in, and pick up that workload and get your bottom and keep your bottom line moving? What was that thought process? Who were the replacements for the illegal immigrants that you guys went and voted against? Who were the replacements?
Literally exhausting being a millennial, defending millennials, when I see a video of the Nebraska girl asking, does anybody care about her state, not realizing her state FAFO'd when they decided to vote red, and now all of these undocumented immigrants have fled up out of Nebraska to go to states where it is safe to work and live in peace in the United States. See, that's the thing. Y'all think that you can just opt in or out of politics when you want to. Politics are all around us. They're unavoidable. When you get your groceries, when you get sick and need health care, when you are taking your kids to school in the morning, when you're deciding who you want to marry, politics are involved in all of the decisions you make on a day-to-day basis. So sis, when you're asking, does anybody care about Nebraska? The first people you should be asking that question to are the people who went to the ballot box and voted for someone who does not have your best interests at heart.
All right, let's set the scene. Picture this: Nebraska ranchers and farmers, many of whom stood tall, chest out, waving their flags, cheering for policies that promise to secure the borders and put America first. But here's the problem. Nebraska's workforce depended on the very people they wanted gone. Now, those very same folks are begging for help, but not just from anyone. Oh no, they're calling on Black America. Yes, the same Black America that has been told for generations to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. The same Black America that was constantly told that no one owes them anything. And now? Now Nebraska ranchers are asking for Black folks to come save their farms. Hold on, let's press pause for a second. So let me get this straight. After years of saying, we don't need you, they're now saying, actually, we kinda do? Whew, the math is not mathing, y'all. Social media? Oh, it's on fire. Comments are rolling in left and right, and let's just say Black America is sipping tea and taking notes. One user wrote, "So now you need us? Where was this energy before?" Another said, "This ain't got nothing to do with us. Nebraska can figure it out on their own. Good luck." And a classic, "This is a you problem, not an us problem." It's almost like people tried to warn them. Almost like folks were out here saying, hey, these policies are going to hurt you too. But no, that was dismissed as fear-mongering. Now the consequences have come knocking, and suddenly it's a different conversation. But here's the real question. Will Black America step in? Or will they let Nebraska figure it out on their own the same way they were told to? Because, this is a full circle moment. So what happens next? Will Nebraska own up to the fact that they FAFO'd and learned the hard way? Or will they find another way to shift blame instead of admitting their mistake? One thing's for sure. Karma is undefeated, but we want to hear from y'all. Should Black America step in and help? Or should Nebraska eat this L and figure it out themselves? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Before we go, once again, huge thanks to the originators and stitches of this video. Y'all are doing the work, and we appreciate you. And to our subscribers, new and old, thank you for rocking with Sparkle's show. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and stay tuned, because this FAFO season is far from over. See y'all in the next one.